Hey guys, Lord here, back in with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Spawn's Universe Medieval Spawn, brought to us by the fine folks over at McFarlane Toys. And it's about goddamn time I reviewed this figure, because not only is Medieval Spawn one of my favorite Spawn variants of all time, long-term viewers of the channel might actually know that already, but in case you didn't, now you do, and knowing is half the battle. Wrong toy line, but either way, I digress. Because on top of that, I've been sitting on this figure for almost a year now. I picked him up last summer, and yeah, let's just say when I got him from Amazon, it was like 90-something degrees out, and a couple of things had to be glued back onto him, like his midsection and his cape on one side. They just came unglued. Nothing broke or anything like that. The quality is still, you know, typical McFarlane Toys quality, but yeah, don't buy figures with a lot of accoutrements and ornamentation in the middle of a blistering heat wave, because you might pop a couple things off if you're not careful. So with that being said, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at all Medieval Spawn has to offer in terms of accessories. And unfortunately, he's a little bit light. I would have preferred a couple more weapons, maybe. At least the shield with the Spawn logo on it. Isn't that kind of iconic for this character? But either way, we do get a sword, because no knight is complete without his sword, right? Both on his hip and in his pants. See, it's got this kind of eldritch rune design on it. Looks pretty cool. And is almost as big as he is, in true Spawn fashion. And then we also get this Warhammer, which might look a little warped to some of you. It came pretty straight. I might have had to straighten it out a little bit, but the main reason it's warped is because I've had him holding it with two hands, and it kind of warped it, because you can almost bend his arms enough, but not quite. Kind of fudge it. That probably caused some of the warpage there, but I did go back and straighten it again, just so it'd be straight for the URL. How many times can I say straight in a sentence? Straight, 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 straight. Does have a little Spawn face on the front there, and a little spike on the top, and a spike on the back, in case the big flat hammer head doesn't kill you first. That said, does this guy use this very often? I know Medieval Spawn to use an axe quite often, and again, that shield, but never a hammer. So that's new, at least for this version and to me. So, you know, looking back at McFarlane Toys' history with Spawn variants, we'll say, you know, the red Ninja Spawn came with some different weapons to the black one. There were several Mandarin Spawns, the GameStop exclusive one coming with the most accessories. It came with all the weapons from the previous two, as well as that shield. I unfortunately never managed to pick one of those up. They went on clearance and just disappeared, you know, as clearance items often do. But I feel like with this guy, because he's such a main Spawn variant, they'd be opt to make another version of him, whether it's a deluxe version with the shield and the axe and these two weapons he comes with, and maybe a spear of some kind, or even a lance. And then on top of that, maybe, just maybe, pull a gunslinger and give him a horse. I feel like that's going to happen. I don't know when, but I feel like it'd be a missed opportunity if they didn't get this guy back out there, because he's kind of hard to come by. Him and Sin, actually, the other figure in this wave, we'll be looking at later today, so long as these videos go up when I initially planned them to, that is. But the Spawn Universe line, at least in my area, kind of scarce. That red Ninja Spawn was kicking around my target for a little bit, but other than that, nothing really new, just old stuff or nothing at all. So yeah, again, I had to pick this guy up off Amazon, or else I wasn't going to have him, and that was not going to happen, because I like this figure quite a bit. Hockey puck display stand we're used to seeing with all McFarlane Toys releases, of course. But yeah, not a perfect figure. It's got McFarlane toyisms all over it, but damn it all, he looks freaking badass. I love this figure, despite its shortcomings. So, as far as the articulation on this guy goes, he's got a double ball peg in the head. It works fine. It's nice and tight. You can look up and down a little bit. Shoulders, so long as the pauldrons move out of the way, and go up a little bit, they can rotate. He's got a little bit of that butterfly in there. He's got a bicep swivel, double elbow. Not as tight as some of the McFarlane figures I've gotten recently, but tight enough, I think. He does have a ball hinge wrist, but I have it to where it goes up and down because that's the proper hinge for holding weapons, so I'm going to keep it that way. I will mention on the back here, this is the skull that popped out, but the old man's Cryonite glue fixed that right away. I don't let it sit overnight, but you know what I mean. Moving the arms up a little bit. Torso can crunch that far forward, not a ton. That far back, it does rotate. And is not the tightest thing ever, but he has so much upper body weight. And then you put the weapons on him. Yeah, that's kind of understandable. It is tight, but it's not going to be the tightest thing ever just because of the weight of this cape is insane. Like, this thing weighs a ton. So I can only assume that most of these are going to be as loose as mine, if not looser, as time goes on. So, you know, normally I'd be a little miffed about that, but there's really nothing you can do about that. You can put kikis on there and whatnot, but it's only going to hold for so long. So, you know, it is what it is. And then as far as the waist goes, he does have a waist twist. That works fine. I will tell you, this is two separate pieces, the midsection. There's a top half and a bottom half. For some reason, I don't know why it's not just one molded piece. I mean, it didn't look like it needed to be done that way, but I guess it did. But either way, be careful with this when you're twisting the waist if it's stuck. Maybe heat it up and let it sit before you try and twist it, because you could pop that off. As far as the legs go, they can kick forward and back. Again, not the tightest thing, but I'm assuming most of them are like that. He does have the T-jointed hip, but unfortunately the side skirts do hinder it quite a bit. He does have a generous thigh cut, though. Look at that. He actually gets a decent amount out of it. Mostly inside, but, you know, it's fine. Gets the job done. He's got a double knee. That works pretty well. I will say the... that's weird. He's got double knee pads. Look at that. He's got a knee pad, and then he's got a knee pad in front of the knee pad. That's interesting. I didn't notice that before. I've had this guy for how long? Nothing in the ankle as far as rotation goes, which kind of sucks, because I think he would have benefited from that. He does have nice, tight, ratchety ankles, though, and a rocker with a toe joint. That's not loose, but I don't know. He feels a little limited, and I don't think he has to be, per se. You know, the torso is the torso. That's a big chunk of plastic there. I don't know how else they could have done that. But yeah, he's not perfect. Unfortunately, he's not going to be on the Figures of the Year or anything. I would argue the Spawn from the Batman 2-pack is probably a better candidate for that. But either way, I do still like the figure. He is a little tricky to stand based off this boot here. The way it's sculpted, you would think, you know, standing him like this, he would stand up, but he is leaning forward something awful. So you kind of have to have a bit of a gap between the foot and the boot. And the boot, as far as the back of it anyways, is going to help him kind of stand up and balance a bit. So yeah, not a perfect figure, unfortunately. I am hoping for a reissue that's maybe a little bit better as far as quality goes. Maybe better paint apps, maybe tighter joints. The gunslinger with the horse, mine anyways, he had a little bit of a loose knee, but it's the one that's going on the horse, so that's not that big a deal. Other than that, He had very tight joints. Wasn't too bad. This guy, his joints are tight enough, but I think they could be a little tighter. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, jabroni. So with that being said, it is time now that we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is good old Medieval Spawn alongside his wave mate Sin, aka Cogliostro, as well as our regular for good old Spawn Week, the Batman v Spawn 2-pack Spawn, or as I like to call it, the Evergreen Spawn, the one that makes people who are fans of articulation and aesthetic happy. And as you can see, Medieval Spawn scales quite nicely with these two. I like the fact that he seems a little taller than regular Spawn, but not too much taller. I mean, he is a dude in armor, but he's just, you know, a dude. So there is that. Getting them moved out of the way. Gotta kind of shift them to the side a bit because of all the plastic capes and whatnot. And then we have our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulith. There. As well as the infamous 11 Spawn, whose cape is a little bit more generous as far as space goes. So why don't we move Medieval Spawn over just a tad. Like that. And there we go. And not as usual, old Al Simmons over there is kind of dwarfed by Medieval Spawn. But again, dude in armor. So with that being said, it is time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and aside from the usual McFarlane Toys issues one might have with good old Medieval Spawn here, I have to say that if you are like me in collecting the different Spawn quote-unquote variants from this Spawn's universe line, then this is a definite must-have. Medieval Spawn is a classic Spawn variant, one of the more main Spawn variants, and as I mentioned earlier, my personal favorite Spawn variant. And while this is not a perfect figure, he's not going to be winning Figure of the Year or anything like that, I am very happy that we finally got him, though I wouldn't be surprised if we get another go at this character, maybe with more weapons and or accessories, or even a horse. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.